have a motion to bring forward the delegation. Kim Stevens?
Certainly. Councillor Buchanan?
So moved.
Councillor Keating?
Second.
Any discussions in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Welcome, Mr. Stevens, this evening. Good to see you.
It is a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be coming with good news, right? It's a good news story.
We love good news.
And the reason I'm here, I'm the Executive Director of the Partnership for Water Sustainability, and of course the City of North Vancouver is one of the founding members. And I'm here to briefly talk about rainwater management and in a watershed sustainability context. And just briefly, in terms of the partnership is incorporated as a society. So the partnership is not government, but government is very much a part of it, and without government, there is no partnership. And so, in terms of our mission, which is develop tools, develop talent, focus on outcomes, well, the tools include things like the water balance model, the water conservation calculator, developing talent through the Water Sustainability Action Plan, which this is the 10th anniversary of release of the action plan. The developing talent really comes through education and training and capacity building. But in terms of focusing on outcomes, really the outcomes depend on our local government partners who actually establish the precedents that we can then showcase so that others can replicate. And local governments learn from each other, and they progress through sharing of case study experience. And so 2 weeks ago, we released the third in the Watershed Case Profile series, which is really the City of North Vancouver Rain Garden story. And one of the reasons it's kind of special to me is that it was a way of recognizing and honoring Tony Barber, who I've known for many, many, many years. He was actually behind me in high school at the university, so Tony did good work, and it was a champion behind your rain garden program. So it was good to be able to tell your story, and it's by telling the stories of those who are spearheading changes in practice. This helps other local governments eliminate what somebody called the disconnect between information and implementation that might otherwise hold them back. So your story is a really important story to other local governments in this region. The Queen Mary Rain Garden will be featured in Water and Novel. I suppose you're all wondering what Water and Novel is. Well, it's a 3-part television documentary that's actually being filmed by a French crew traveling around the world. They came to British Columbia because they wanted to learn about the Water Sustainability Action Plan. And it was an interesting story how we wound up at the Queen Mary Rain Garden, because I happened to show the director of the documentary series this brochure, and he said, "Can you show me a rain garden?" And that's how we wound up at Queen Mary. And the context for this TV series, it's not a doom and gloom TV series. And so in their episode number 3, when they wanted to kind of showcase what people are doing that's good stuff. And their focus tends to be on the bigger picture. Like for example, they were in the Rockies and they spent time with Bob, I forgot his last name, the glacier guy. Anyway, and so they really weren't used to seeing or talking to folks in local government. And really their theme for this episode number 3 is what can be done. And that's where your rain garden story really has relevance and importance to people, because it's more than just building the rain garden. So that's why episode number 3 is titled, Can Water and Man Make Up? But the reason they really got captivated by North Van was because, hey, July 31st in the middle of a drought, it's kind of, rain gardens, they're dry. But your North Van Fire Department came through, and they provided a bit of a flow of water in the gutter. And so they got some spectacular footage, because they're into special effects, of how a rain garden actually performs when you pour water onto the soil. So that's the story about Water and Novel. So stay tuned. I believe it'll be ready in the middle of 2015, and for sure I will let you know when you can watch it. Just very briefly here, I wanted to mention, the Interregional Education Initiative, and that involves 5 regions in this bioregion. And the 5 regions are sharing and cross-fertilizing tools, resources, information, and expertise. And when you fly over this region at 3,000 foot in a Harbour airplane, you realize that the Georgia Basin is really just a big pond. And so while we talk about the regions, they're really just major valleys. And the significance there is that everybody is really dealing with the same issues, whether it be the Comox Valley or Capital Region or Metro Vancouver. And so the story, your rain garden story, is important to others. And in fact, there's a meeting taking place for local governments in the Comox Valley on Wednesday, and this is actually very important to show what somebody has accomplished with a 10-year commitment, because that's really what it's been for you. It's a 10-year commitment. Every time you do a road project or have a redevelopment, it's an opportunity to change, turn the clock back in terms of watershed health. Where are we heading with this? Because these things are not just one-off. We are in the process of leading the Interregional Education Initiative. There will be a deliverable. Everybody's got the highfalutin language. What we're focused on is really the implementation and integration really on the ground. And again, that's why your story is so important, because what you're doing is really informing what we're calling towards a watershed health legacy in the built environment. So over the next 6 months, in terms of pulling this together, it's really a snapshot in a 20-year story that we've been working along in terms of helping local governments, the document used by local governments to guide actions, inform community and watershed planning, and ultimately create a legacy. And by legacy, we mean healthy watersheds and streams. And on that note, it's the photo op because I wish to present the framed letter of recognition. The City of North Vancouver is a champion supporter of the partnership. In fact, the city was a founding member going back to 2002, when a group of local governments and the province and federal government came together to form the original intergovernmental partnership. And your long-term commitment is helping the partnership achieve the vision for water sustainability through green infrastructure practices and policies, which are really symbolized by the Rain Garden program. So may I present the frame certificate?
You sure can. I'm just going to make a couple quick comments because I just want to recognize your leadership, Dr. Stevens, in this regard. You have been a passionate supporter of how better to manage the rain that falls to the ground, hitting a very hard, non-permeable surface, then is not able to recharge the groundwater system. And it causes lots of problems for us here. So people watching on TV tonight will have to realize that you're a champion in trying to make sure that we have a much better, healthier ecosystem. So when it rains, we don't get these massive downpour or currents of water into our streets or creeks and streams, wiping out all the fish habitat. If it's able to slowly recharge into the ground and then work its way into the creeks, it's much more healthy for the environment. And so I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing on this. And I know you mentioned earlier Mr. Barber, Mr. Tony Barber. He was a real passionate about this as well. So it's good to mention him. As of course is Mr. Doug Pope, our Director of Engineering here as well. I think we should recognize them and their leadership. So thank you very much for that. We're happy to accept that on behalf of the council and the citizens.
It's my pleasure. Who's your favorite standing place? Why don't you just here?
We should give him a round of applause, I think. So thank you very much again, Dr. Stevens, for that. Very much appreciated.